Welcome to the MotorMarvel. My name's Salvatore, and today we have the 2026 GWM Tank 500 Hi4-T PHEV, the top spec variant out of the GWM Tank 500 range, which is the plug-in hybrid. This enters a very competitive 4x4 segment dominated by the Toyota Prado. But the GWM Tank 500 doesn't come in empty-handed. No. It comes in with an incredible price tag of just over $79,000, luxurious interior, off-road capability that's going to even match or even challenge some of the competition, and a very powerful hybrid powertrain. But the big question is, can it challenge the Prado, or is it a smarter buy? Well, we are going to find that out. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss another time we make an upload like this. Let's get on to the review. Coming in at $79,999 drive away, keep in mind, you get all of this SUV, which is incredible. In comparison, the base model Prado is priced in at the same price, and that is insane because this is a top spec variant. So what is powering this almost 3-ton behemoth? Well, it is a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo-petrol motor, paired with an electric motor that makes a combined output of 300 kilowatts, 750 newton meters of torque. It sends all that power through a 9-speed automatic transmission and 4-wheel drive, allowing this SUV to sprint from 0 to 100 in 6.9 seconds. In terms of fuel consumption, well, if you have a lead foot like me, expect anywhere between 11 to 13 litres per 100 Ks. And the 37.1 kilowatt hour battery is good for 120 kilometers of range when you're driving in only EV. Since this is a plug-in hybrid and it has a 37.1 kilowatt hour battery, that means this car has a vehicle to load. So what does that mean? It means you can plug in household items if you take your GWM Tank 500 PHEV to a campsite. So either you plug in your microwave, your coffee machine, and if the kids are bored, a TV and a PlayStation. In terms of charging, why does this always happen every time we do it? Open. There we go. Anyways, pull these out. Max DC charging is at 50 kilowatts, and the car will charge from 30 to 80% in just 24 minutes. And then max AC charging is at 6.6 kilowatts, and expect anything over 6.5 hours. This Tank 500 comes with 777, 7 years warranty, 7 years cap price servicing, and 7 years roadside assistance. Now, you might be wondering, why are we filming in a car park? Well, it's pouring with rain today, and we cannot film at our original location where we always film. So bear with us. But in terms of the design of this GWM Tank 500, well, I think it's a really good-looking SUV. It's got a lot of presence, and it's big. But I'm not the biggest fan of all the chrome. I think it's a bit much. And unfortunately, you can't get the Vanta trim on this top spec variant of the GWM Tank 500 range, which is a plug-in hybrid, which blacks everything out. So you have to deal with the chrome. But speaking of which, you've got LED front headlights, you've got this ginormous grille with the Tank logo just there. You've got some LED fog lamps down there. You've got 18-inch alloy wheels. And then coming down the side, guys, the best part of this plug-in hybrid, electronic side steps. I really do like that. That is freaking cool and premium. And listen to this. That sounds pretty solid. So coming down the side, yep, typical SUV silhouette, just big. You got roof rails. You got this matte silver that's all around the window surrounds and the roof rails. And coming to the back here, guys, you've got LED retail lights. Chrome again. GWM Tank on this space-saving spare, which is huge. And a side-hinged rear tailgate, which, to be honest, is cool, but at the same time inconvenient, because if you're in a parking lot and you park really close to the wall, you can't really get to the back, which is a bit of an inconvenience. The other thing that's quite annoying is this. What is that? Why couldn't they just put a license plate up against there? That just ruins an overall good design, because the rest of the car looks great. You got 500 there, and then you've also got PHEV here with Hi4-T. Chevron, you've got the plug-in hybrid, and then no diffuser, thankfully, and your reverse camera is right there. Since we're at the back here, might as well open this and show you guys the boot capacity. Now, that is not electronically operated, which is a bit of a shame. you have to manually open it. But that's not the worst thing. The worst thing is this. Because the batteries are here in the boot, you don't get an option for 7 seats, and it takes up floor space. And then when it comes to loading things in here, you have this awful lip, which is a bit of a shame. But what is good is that you have just over 640 litres of boot capacity. And if you want to increase that, you can lower the second row and increase it to just over 1,400 litres. Now it's time to find out how well equipped this Tank 500 is to go off-road. Now, unfortunately, in this review, we are unable to do that, but nonetheless, let's go through it. Approach angle, 29.5 degrees. Ground clearance, 213 millimeters. Departure angle, 24 degrees. Weighting depth, 800 millimeters, and ramp breakover angle of 22.5 degrees. Payload is 565 kilos, and towing capacity is 3 tons. Hey, what are you doing? Oi! Let's go through the off-road tech because there is a lot. For starters, you've got this swivel wheel down here. If you press auto, the sophisticated four-wheel drive system will set the car up how it should be, depending on what terrain you're on. Now, if I go through the options, you have eco, normal, sport, and then your 4x4 modes. So you've got snow, mud, sand, and 4 high. Now, the cool thing about this is if you go in, for example, mud, the car will automatically set it up as it should. So it will lock the center locking diff. And then if you change it, well, it will into sand, for example, it will keep it the same. Depending on what mode you're in, it will lock diffs and do everything accordingly. Now, if you want to manually operate everything, well, you can down here. You've got a rear locking differential button right here. You have 4 low here. You have front locking differential button here. You've got your crawl control, which will manage your throttle. So all you have to worry about is steering. And then you've got tank turn, which is insane. It will allow you to maneuver in very tight spaces when you're off-road, which is incredible. Then the screen itself, the display. Well, you've got all your tire pressure systems here. Then you've got pitch and roll. You've also, as you've seen before, your diffs. So your rear, your center, and your front to show you if it's locked. But the coolest part is this. It's the cameras, guys. So the cameras, you have a full 360-degree camera, which helps when you're going off-road. And it's insane. It's clear, crisp, works really well. And you can make the car clear or have it shown up with its 3D form. Now, the best part about it is, if I do this, clear, and I hit that, you can see what you're about to approach. I absolutely love this. Right, as soon as you jump into the Tank 500, you're in amazement of the luxurious design and feel of this car, because it is, to be fair, miles ahead of some of the competition, because this car's priced in at just over $79,000, and cars in this segment priced around that don't even offer this. You have Napa leather seats, you've got leather on the dash, you've got leather on the doors. Everything feels really premium and luxurious. You've got all this timber and all this aluminium, and you've got these really tactile and really robust switches, buttons, and even on the steering wheel feels really nice, and you've got this premium feel with the stitching here on the center of the steering wheel. It honestly is a really nice place to be. However, when you do get down low, it is a bit scratchy. Now, I can forgive the car for that because, after all, it is a 4x4 and it's supposed to be rugged in certain areas, and you're not really going to be touching down here most of the time. You've got LEDs throughout the whole cabin to lighten it up, and you can change the colors to whatever you want. And then you've got this clock here. I absolutely love that. But to be fair, it does resemble this area here, something out of a European car manufacturer. Bentley. Yeah, that's very Bentley-ish. I don't like that, however. The stars on the dash here feel very childish. It feels like the stars that you put on your roof as a kid, or ceiling, sorry for that matter, that glow in the dark to make your room a bit more, vibrant. Yeah, that not the biggest fan. But other than that, everything else in this cabin is really nice. In terms of tank tech, you have a 12.3-inch digital driver's display. You've got a 4.6-inch infotainment screen, which is ginormous and operates Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and all that. And it's very clear and crisp and works really well. The only thing that I hate about it is this. Say you're in CarPlay and you're driving and you want to turn down the music. Well, you can via the steering wheel, but your passenger can't because there are no switches, buttons, or anything to turn it down. Now, it is all operated through here, which is okay, but you can't operate it when in CarPlay. You actually have to exit CarPlay, then slide down, and then adjust the volume. Why so complicated? Honestly, it's a bit irritating. Nonetheless, you do get a head-up display, which is really good. And the driver's display is really clear and crisp and has all your information as you would expect. Again, there is another sad reality to this as well, is the fact that it does not have a rev counter. No, there is no option for that. So when you're going through the gears, if you don't know when to change, well, bad luck. You're going to expect the car to over-rev. When it comes to comfort, well, look, there's nothing to say. It is extremely comfortable in here. These seats are really nice. They're electronically adjustable. They're heated and cooled, and they have a massage function, which is insane. You have dual climate controls. The only thing I will say is there's not really any under thigh support. That's the only downside of these seats, is that I wish you could extend the base here so you could fill in that gap. But other than that, it's a really comfortable place to be. Being a 4x4, it's very practical in here. For starters, your steering wheel is electronically adjustable, which adds to the premium feel. Your door bins are okay. They fit a water flask of this size, but anything bigger than that will struggle to fit in there. But you do have 2 cup holders here for, say, a coffee or your water flask. Now, it is very deep, so it will fit this easily. But be aware, if you do put a coffee in there and you pull it out while you're driving, you might spill it on yourself because it is so deep. Opening up the center console, you got this little tray here that can be taken out, or you can leave it in there and slide it forward because it opens you up to the center console with heating and cooling because it's connected to the climate controls, which is awesome. Then you close that, you got a wireless phone charger, you have more storage under here with a USB-A and a USB-C port down there, you got a decent sized glove box, you got a sunglass holder up here, and, well, please close, and a panoramic sunroof. So if you thought it was luxurious and plush up front, well, back here is overkill. It is just ridiculous. For starters, you have second row climate control functions down here with heated and cooled options for both outboard seats. And then you lower this center armrest and it exposes yet another screen whereby you can operate all your climate control functions back here and everything else. It is absolutely ridiculous. And to top it off, the second row get massage seats as well. It's honestly, it's something that you definitely don't see in a car priced in this range. This is something you see in cars north of $100,000. It is ridiculous. You've got cup holders here for convenience, and you've got some more storage here. And you close this, and in terms of space, well, I've got plenty of knee room. I can easily stretch my feet underneath the seat in front, and I have plenty of headroom. The floor is completely flat, so fitting 3 passengers back here is easy. However, if you are considering sitting in the center here, be aware that because everything's in that, it's quite hard. But if you sit on the outboard seats, it is so comfortable. They have ISOFIX anchor points and 3 top tether points. You've got pockets on the back of the seats, decent sized door bins. You've got a little cubby hole down here with a USB-C, USB-A port and a 12-volt socket. And you have integrated blinds. Plus, if you haven't noticed already, all the speakers are finished off with this perforation, just to add to the overall classiness and vibe of this GWM. The boring part of the review, safety tech. Autonomous emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring, lane centering, lane keep assist, emergency lane keep assist, front cross traffic assist, rear cross traffic assist, safe exit warning, traffic sign recognition, and surround view camera with front and rear parking sensors. Let's take it for a drive. So, what's this GWM Tank 500 PHEV like to live with day to day? Surprisingly, very easy and very comfortable. Considering that this car is built on a ladder frame chassis, it does really well. You know, seats are bloody comfortable, and I love the fact that they've got a massage function in the front seats and in the second row, which is astonishing. And the fact that your visibility is not too bad at all. Like, it's really good. And it's pretty quiet in here, except for the wind wipers. If you do buy a GWM Tank 500, please do yourself a favor and replace the wind wipers. They're very loud and they're annoying. But what's not annoying is the ADAS system. Considering that this has a lot of safety tech and modern cars are littered with them, it doesn't really become a burden, which is awesome. Fuel consumption, well, look, they do claim just over 2 liters per 100 Ks, but realistically expect anywhere between 11 to 13 because this car does have a lot of power and it can get up and boogie. You got 300 kilowatts and 750 Newton meters of torque, and it does 0 to 100 in 6.9 seconds, which is pretty damn quick considering the size and the weight of this vehicle. But be aware, it's no sport SUV. So if you do want to get a bit, excited in the corners, yeah, you do fall out of your seat a little bit. And I can forgive it for that because it's not supposed to be a sports SUV. It's supposed to be a serious off-roader. And for that, it is. Because, like I said, it's got a front, center, and rear locking differential, and it's got ground clearance that is very competitive. I really do like this car. I can't really say anything too bad about it. I know it does have a couple of irritations, but you really can forgive it considering the price that you're paying for it. Before we get onto the MotorMarvel rating, I will talk about the EV part of this car because it is a plug-in hybrid. So in EV only mode, so without the 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo-petrol motor, you get 120 kilometers of range, which is pretty decent, right? Considering that it's not heavily reliant on the electric motor, it's mostly reliant on the petrol motor, you get a lot of range for just electric only. Meaning that if you are one of those people who live very close to your place of work, you can drive your GWM to work and back and never touch the petrol motor at all, which is phenomenal, right? I just honestly think that's insane. And look, if you subscribe to our channel, you've probably seen me rave on about hybrids. I think, honestly, they are the future. They make total sense. And in this setup, it's just a great way of having a big car without the burden of having atrocious fuel consumption. It really does help the fact that you can have the best of both worlds, and I really do love it. In saying so, we are experiencing 13.1 liters per 100 Ks, and from the electric assist, 7.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Now, once the car is fully charged and full of fuel, you will get over 900 kilometers of range, which is mind-blowing. You know, this is a very uncommon setup for a car of this size. Back in the day, you would see a V8, and even today, diesel. So for a small engine like this to be combined with an electric motor, it's pretty uncanny. And it performs extremely well, as you will see. Okay, it's time for the MotorMarvel rating. And let's test that turning circle, because we might as well. So here, and it is bloody decent, to be honest, considering the size of this vehicle. Okay, so let's brake boost this bad boy and see what its 0 to 100 time is like. All right. Whoa, that's actually pretty bloody decent. I did not expect that. Did not expect to be thrown back into my seat. 0 to 100 in 6.9 seconds. Honestly, that is, I'm pretty astounded. Yes, that is incredible. So while its 0 to 100 time is pretty decent. When you do take it through some corners, yeah, there's no getting past the way this car feels, because the weight is very noticeable, because it is a bit boaty in the corners. And the brakes, look, while they're decent, if you decide to get a bit, spirited in your driving and push the brakes beyond their point, yeah, it's not great. And the gearbox too, when you put it in manual mode and you go through the gears, it's uneventful. Look, all that doesn't really matter, because let's be honest, this car was never meant to be a sports SUV. It was supposed to be a very respectful and very user-friendly day-to-day driver for the families that will be buying this car, because you'd be putting the kids in it, taking the kids to soccer practice, taking them to school. It's not meant to, break lap records or be a weekend enthusiast experience. It's supposed to be more of a, weekend warrior. Take you off the beaten track and take the kids to school in comfort. And the power's there for towing and to get you out of sticky situations. So for considering all that, and now it's pouring with rain, I give this GWM Tank 500 an 7 out of 10 MotorMarvel rating. Honestly, it's phenomenal. And an overall rating of 8 out of 10, because you really start to think to yourself, why would you spend more? Because this ticks a lot of boxes. So what's my final verdict on this GWM Tank 500 PHEV? Well, honestly, it proves to be more than just great value. It's luxurious, refined, and comes well equipped to go off-road. Now, while it misses out on a third row, you can opt for lesser variants in the range that do come with a third row. In the end, it makes buyers go against the status quo, because do you really need to pay Prado prices to get a proper 4x4? Now, while it's not better than the Prado, you have to consider this. This is a top-spec variant and comes in at $79,000 drive away. The equivalent Prado is the base model variant. So, in the end, for people that are on a budget, it might not be the alternative, but it might be the smarter choice.